Welcome to another session of Understanding Human Anatomy. This video will concentrate on the muscles of the forearm. So I'm going to start by drawing a cross section of the forearm. And the forearm, remember, has two bones in it. The lateral bone is the radius, and the medial bone is the ulna. Now, like the arm, the forearm has dense connective tissue forming deep fascia underneath the skin and superficial fascia. So I'm drawing this under the skin in a purple color, similar to what I used for the arm. So this is deep fascia, dense connective tissue proper. And it would be deep to the subcutaneous connective tissue or superficial fascia, which is found just under the skin, which is a loose connective tissue proper. Now remember also that the radius and ulna are held together by a ligament or membrane, the interosseous membrane. And this is the same consistency. This is deep fascia that connects the two bones. The forearm is then divided into anterior and posterior compartments by deep fascia that runs from the ulna to the deep fascia under the skin, and from the radius to the deep fascia under the skin. So now the forearm, like the arm, is divided into two compartments: an anterior compartment and a posterior compartment. So let's take a look first at the anterior compartment. Okay, the anterior compartment of the forearm. And one of the things we can say about the anterior compartment of the forearm is that, like the anterior compartment of the arm, the anterior compartment of the forearm are all flexors. And these would be flexors of the wrist and fingers. They're all flexors except for one muscle. Further, we can group the muscles into two groups. We have a group of superficial muscles, and these muscles will have a common origin. All of them, at least in part, originate from the medial epicondyle of the humerus and supracondylar ridge, and also from the medial collateral ligament. And this is a ligament that runs along the medial side of the elbow joint between the humerus and ulna. So, if we take a look at these muscles, in the superficial group, superficial muscles, we have the flexor, carpi, ulnaris. This would be a muscle that flexes the wrist, the carpus, and it's on the medial side, the ulnar side. And we have a flexor carpi radialis, and the flexor carpi radialis also flexes the wrist, but it inserts on the lateral side of the wrist. We have palmaris longus, which has a long tendon that inserts into the palmar aponeurosis, and it helps flex the hand. We have a flexor of the digits, flexor digitorum, and since it is closest to the surface, it is called the flexor digitorum superficialis. And the mere fact that we have the added name superficialis will tell you that there is another flexor digitorum, and this will be the deep muscle, flexor digitorum profundus. And then finally, we will have pronator teres, which, as the name implies, is a pronator of the hand, but also is a flexor. It passes anterior to the elbow joint, again, common origin, medial epicondyle, and inserts down into the hand, so it does help flex the elbow joint. So it's not an exception, it just has an additional action. Then we have the deep. So let me sketch in the approximate location of the superficial group of muscles. Here's the superficial group. Like so. And then, while I'm here, I'll draw in the deep group, and I'll put some space in between the two groups when in reality there is virtually no space between them, like so. And this is the deep group of anterior compartment muscles, deep group of flexors. So, deep, muscles, and these muscles will all originate from the radius, ulna, and interosseous membrane. So radius, ulna, and interosseous membrane. The muscles of the deep group we have Flexor digitorum profundus, Flexor pollicis longus, And pronator quadratus which is our exception. That's why I've written it in red. Pronator quadratus. Pronator quadratus is a muscle of the anterior compartment of the forearm, but it does not flex any joints. The only thing it does is to cause pronation. So it is the exception to our rule. That concludes our discussion of the muscles of the anterior compartment of the forearm. The next video will pick up with the discussion of the muscles in the posterior compartment of the forearm. Thank you for your attention.